Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis, County, Sheriff State, Tennessee. Date. It's Sunday afternoon, May the 4th, 2025. Time is 2:15 p.m. First, I thank my family, my support for your continued courage, continue to keep myself employed in Memphis, try to area, continue to fund my education, my own college line, continue to pursue my social media, study being administrative contract, my better time to break going to school in the future. I'm gonna go back to school. Now I'm gonna earn my social degree as well as other degree. Now I'm gonna start my Facebook Live. Hello, everybody. My name is Eric D. Johnson, also known as BrightShine, right here in the city of Memphis, in the County, Sheriff State, Tennessee. Today's date, Sunday afternoon, May the 4th, 2025. Time 2:16 p.m. First, I thank my family, my support for you. Continue to support, continue to keep myself employed. Memphis try to area, continue to further my education, my own college line, continue to pursue my social degree, I'm being my trade contract, my present time, took a break and going to school. In the future, I'm gonna go back to school, earn my social degree, with other degrees. Now, like I said, it's Sunday afternoon. Making my video. Let me click on this. Got to get on top of this prehistoric religion. All right. All right. Got to get on top of this prehistoric religion. What's the day? Sunday. Sunday. No. All right, while we talking about this prehistoric religion and everything, the Divine Nine, you know what I'm saying? These books on Amazon.com. Let me go over here to Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, the history, the founding fathers, motto, servants of all. All right. Take back over. Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. By culture and merit. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. In the early 1900s, Howard University co-ed Ethel Hegman dreamed of creating a support network for women with like mind who would come together for mutual uplift and coalescence of their talent and strength for the benefit of others. Okay. All right. These books, man. Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Let me go over there. Achievement in every field of human endeavor. We go to the history. Uh-huh. Yeah. The founders were God-fearing. See, this we talking about Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. Yeah, the founders were God-fearing and serious-minded young men with the imagination, ambition, courage, and determination to defy custom in pursuit of a college education and career. The ideals of the church were an important foundation of the fraternity. One of the 5 objectives of the fraternity is to promote the spiritual, social, intellectual, and moral welfare of members. Many aspects of the fraternity's rites are ingrained in Christian ideals and contain excerpts from the Bible. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's Kappa Alpha Psi. All right, let me click over. Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and then we got Omega Psi Phi fraternity. All right. Motto: friendship is essential to the soul. All right, let me click over here. Omega Psi Phi fraternity was founded on November 17, 1911, the first of a historically black university by 3 Howard University students, Edgar Amos Love, Oscar James Cooper, and Frank Coleman, and their faculty advisor, Dr. Ernest Everett Just. His purpose was to attract and build a strong and effective force of handsome men dedicated to its cardinal principles of manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. And one of the members of the other, Carter G. Woodson, was a member. The growing body of scholarship on African American history. Since 1945, the fraternity has undertaken a national social action program to meet the needs of African Americans in the areas of health, housing, civil rights, and education. Omega Psi Phi has been a patron of the United Negro College Fund since 1955, providing an annual gift of $50,000 to the program. Excuse me. So there's Omega Psi Phi. Delta Sigma Theta sorority. Motto: intelligence is the torch of wisdom. Let me go there. Yeah. And in January 13, 1913, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated was founded by 22 women in Howard University. Some of the founders were former members of Alpha Kappa Alpha who wanted to change their sorority name, color symbols, and direction. 1912, they proposed to vote to change the organization name. This new name was to reflect the group's desire to change the visual image of the name of the group to look less like Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. And so the 5-point thrust was implemented in 1956 by the 10th National President, Dorothy Height. The 5-point thrust is the 5 areas under which all Delta programming falls. The thrust is education development, economic development, physical and mental health, political awareness and involvement, and international awareness and involvement. So all right, this what's that? Delta Sigma Theta, uh-huh, and Delta Sigma Theta, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, motto culture for service and service for humanity. Click over there. And Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, story of the African American fraternity. It was founded at Howard University in Washington, D.C. on January 9, 1914 by 3 young African American male students with 9 other Howard students as charter members. The fraternity founders, A. Langston Taylor, Leonard F. Morris, and Charles I. Brown, wanted to organize a Greek letter fraternity that would exemplify the ideals of brotherhood, scholarship, and service, while taking an inclusive perspective to serve the community as opposed to having an exclusive purpose. And it is the only fraternity to hold a constitutional bond with the historical African American sorority Zeta Phi Beta, which was founded on January 16, 1920 at Howard University in Washington, D.C. through the efforts of members of Phi Beta Sigma. All right, so that's Phi Beta Sigma as well. Now let's go over here to Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Motto: a community conscious, action oriented organization. All right, click over here. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority, international collegiate sorority that is historically African American. 1925 women from Howard University envisioned a sorority that would raise the consciousness of their people, encourage the highest standards of scholastic achievement, and foster a greater sense of unity among its members. Now, the history in the spring of 1919, during a stroll on the campus of Howard University, Charles Robert Samuel Taylor, member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, told Arizona Cleaver his idea for a new sisterhood, a sister organization to his fraternity. Cleaver presented his idea to Pearl, Anna Neal, Myrtle Tyler, Viola Tyler, and Fanny Petty, and a new sisterhood was formed. And so Cleaver secured permission from the Howard University administration to establish a campus sorority. On January 16, 1920, the sorority's first official meeting was held. The 5 students chose the name Zeta Phi Beta. Phi Beta was taken from Phi Beta Sigma to seal and signify the relationship between the two organizations. The newly established Zeta Phi Beta sorority was given a formal introduction at White Line Hotel by Phi Beta Sigma members Taylor and A. Langston Taylor. The two Sigma brothers had been a source of advice and encouragement during the establishment of the sorority and throughout its early days. And Kappa Alpha and Delta Sigma Theta sororities held a welcome to campus reception in the assembly room in Minor Hall in honor of the new sorority. All right, so this is Zeta Phi Beta. Now, Sigma Gamma Rho. All right. Sigma Gamma Rho sorority is a historical African American sorority, international collegiate and non-profit community service organization that was founded on November 12, 1922. The organization was formed as a sorority in 1922 by 7 African American women in Indianapolis, Indiana. At its inception, the sorority was created to support black women pursuing degrees in education. It was incorporated within Indiana in November 20, 1922 as a sorority for school teachers and held their first national conference in 1925. And then the sorority slogan is greater service, greater progress. So that's Sigma Gamma Rho. Now, Iota Phi Theta fraternity. All right. And what they the motto, building a tradition, not resting upon one. Okay. Now let's click over here. Iota Phi Theta fraternity is a fraternity which is historically African American, was founded on September 19, 1963 at Morgan State University, then Morgan State College in Baltimore, Maryland. Fifth largest black and Greek letter fraternity. All right, there are over 301 undergraduate and alumni chapters, including colonists. The fraternity is a member of the National Panhellenic Council, an umbrella organization commonly referred to as the Divine Nine, which is composed of international and historically African American Greek letter sororities and fraternities, and is also a member of the North American Interfraternity Conference. All right. The fraternity was founded by 12 men on September 19, 1963. They were all dedicated to the civil rights movement and were all non-traditional students. All right, let me see. Like I said, it was founded in 1963. And so during that period of time, that was during the 60s. So we know, that was the civil rights movement and civil rights, human rights, and all this. And so while the 1960s was an era of conformity, the 1960s was an era of resistance. In the 60s, many African Americans began forming organizations based on their passion for social change and their alignment with the principles of the civil rights movement. The fraternity was among these groups. Brothers participated in various protests and sit-ins throughout Baltimore to fight racial segregation. The earliest was a protest organized by a civic interest group composed mostly of Morgan State College students against the theater at Northwood Shopping Center in Baltimore, Maryland, located diagonally across the street from Morgan State College. Northwood continued to segregate its services, affecting thousands of students at the historically black college. In many theaters, only white people could occupy seating on the main floor, while black people were restricted to the segregated Jim Crow balcony, often with a separate ticket booth and entrance. All right, then, okay. And so throughout the 1960s, 1970s, the fraternity supported local social service programs, including the Big Brothers of America. In 1974, the then Grand Polaris, Tommy Dean appeared in a local television commercial on behalf of the Big Brothers of America. The fraternity continued to support service initiatives with national organizations such as the NAACP, the United Negro College Fund, the National Sickle Cell Disease Foundation, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, the American Red Cross, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the National Institute of Health, All of Us Initiative, the National Federation of the Blind, the Inroads Organization, the United States Army, Additionally, the fraternity chapters that continue to support and lead IOTA's initiatives. iShield, the IOTA, Intelligent, Outstanding, Talented Achievers, Youth Alliance, the IOTA Phi Theta, Men's Health Program. I5T, impact others through awareness by implementing public health initiatives throughout the world. The much more than a hashtag program and Project Image. So, that's iota Phi Theta. All right, so that's the Divine Nine. Now, get back to these books. See, you gotta have a vision, man. You gotta be able to see when you have a need. Then you, in order for to get these books at Amazon.com, so you gotta know how to. What's happening? Now, prehistoric religion. Oh, we're gonna get these books. Oh yeah, we're gonna get these books. We're gonna get books. Oh yeah. See, you gotta know who to talk to. You gotta have them connections. Now, prehistoric religion. Book/books. This is a good one here. Religion and human evolution. From the Paleolithic to the Axial Age. Amazon.com. $29. Here go another one. This is thrift books. Ancient Religions by Belknap Press. $11.19. What's this? The Other Ancient Civilizations. Decoding Archaeology's Less Celebrated Cultures. Amazon.com. $22. Patterns in Prehistory. Humankind's First 3 Million Years. The 5th edition Casebooks and Criticism. Amazon.com. $48.75. Oh, okay. What's this right here? The Early History of God, Yahweh, and the Other Deities in Ancient Israel. The Biblical Resource Series. Amazon.com. $28.60. Oh, okay. What was this? Okay, let me check this book out. Let me see what this is. Spirituality. before religions. Spirituality is unseen. Science is seen spirituality. Amazon.com, $24.99. Now, what's this book here? Let me see. When the World Was Black. The Untold History of the World's First Civilizations. Part 1. Prehistoric Cultures. Amazon.com, $24.95. Oh, what's this book here? Let's see here. A Book of the Beginnings. Amazon.com, $20. The Evolution of Religion, a history of related traditions. Amazon.com, $53. Oh, okay. What's this book here? Before Genesis, the unauthorized history of Tohu, Bohu, and the Chaos Dragon in the Land Before Time. Amazon.com, $19.03. What's this right here? Forbidden History, Prehistoric Technologies, Extraterrestrial Intervention, and okay. Now I had to type in little characters, funny looking characters. So the title of the book, Forbidden History, Prehistoric Technologies, Extraterrestrial Intervention, and the Suppressed Origins of Civilization. Yeah, that's over there on Amazon.com. All right. Oh, let's check this out here. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're going to check this one book out. Check this now. Prehistoric Religion, a study in pre-Christian antiquity. Amazon and more. $41.95. Now it's another book. Prehistoric Religion, a study in pre-Christian antiquity, Volume 2. Walmart and more. Then you get free delivery. $42.95. Oh, here we go. Prehistoric Religion, a study in prehistoric archaeology. Oh, they got this over on eBay and more free delivery and everything. $21.67. I think this is the same book. What's it? Prehistoric Religion, a study in pre-Christian antiquity, volume 2. I think this is the same book, like different cover. It's over on Amazon and more. Then you got, Prehistoric Religion, a study in pre-Christian antiquity, an examination of the religious beliefs of the Oceanic, Central African, and Amazonian primitives. Their development among the latter Indo-Asiatic and Ptolemaic peoples. Oh, okay, here we go. What's this here? Religion of Greece in prehistoric times. See, when you have a book like that, you make that, you know what I'm saying? You had this compare, when you're hearing about this, what you call them, it's bringing up something about some atheists and about, coming from a certain area, and then you start talking about how Plato and Socrates. So a book like that will come in handy, because you'll be making distinctions about the things that people like Socrates and Plato, So you got the religion of Greece in prehistoric times. Yeah, it's over there on Amazon.com, $35.52. Oh, what's this? The Journal of Prehistoric Religion. It's over there on 8 books. What's that? $66.42. What's this? The Dawn of Belief. Religion in the Upper Paleolithic of Southwestern Europe. You know what that part of the world is? Southwestern Europe. It's like Italy and, that part of the world, Spain, Portugal, Southwestern Europe. And what's that? It's about $20. Now, this is a book here with Before Religion, a history of a modern concept. me read this. It said, for much of the past 2 centuries, religion has been understood as a universal phenomenon, a part of the natural human experience that is essentially the same across cultures and throughout history. Individual religions may vary through time and geographically, but there is an element religion that is to be found in all cultures during all time periods. Taking a part of this assumption, Brent Nobre shows that the idea of religion as a sphere of life distinct from politics, economics, or science is a recent development in European history, a development that has been projected outward in space and backward in time, with the result that religion now appears to be a natural and necessary part of our world. Examining a wide array of ancient writings, Nungbe demonstrated that in antiquity, there was no conceptual arena that could be designated as religious as opposed to secular. Surveying representative episodes from a 2,000-year period while constantly attending to the concrete social, political, and colonial contexts that shape relevant works of philosophers, legal theorists, missionaries, and others. Nombre offers a concise and reliable account of the emergence of the concept of religion. Mm. Mm. Now, the power of ritual in prehistory, secret societies, and origins of social complexity. The Power of Ritual in Prehistory is the first book in nearly a century to deal with traditional secret societies from a comparative perspective, and the first from an archaeological viewpoint, providing a clear definition as well as the material signatures of ethnographic secret societies. Brian Hayden demonstrates how they worked, what motivated their organizers, and what tactics they used to obtain what they wanted. He showed that far from working for the welfare of their community, traditional secret society emerged as predatory organizations operating for the benefit of their own members. Moreover, and contrary to the prevailing ideas that prehistoric rituals were used to integrate community, Hayden demonstrates how traditional secret society created divisiveness and inequalities. They were one of the key tools for increasing political control, leading to chiefdoms, states, and world religions. Hayden's conclusion will be eye-opening not only for archaeologists, but also for anthropologists, political scientists, and scholars of religion. Now, the title of this book, Paganism. Paganism is an evocative word that, even today, conjures up deep-seated emotions and prejudice. Until recently, it was primarily a derogatory term used by Christians to describe the non-Christian cultures confronted and vanquished by their churches. For some, it evokes images of sacrifice and barbaric behavior, while for others, it symbolizes a peace-loving, nature-worshiping, spiritual relationship with the earth. This very short introduction explores the meaning of paganism through a chronological overview of the attitude towards its practices and beliefs from the ancient world through to the present day. Owen Davies largely looks at paganism through the eyes of the Christian world and how over the centuries, notions and representations of its nature were shaped by religious conflict, power struggles, colonialism, and scholarship. Despite the expansion of Christianity and Islam, pagan cultures continue to exist around the world, whilst in the West, new formations of paganism constitute one of the fastest growing religions, focusing on paganism in Europe, but exploring the nature of paganism globally. Davis looks at how Europeans discovered new cultures through colonial expansion, missionary work, and anthropological study. Contemporary social paganism can be a liberating and social force, and the idea of a global pagan theology is now on the religious map. About the series, the very short introduction series from Oxford University Press contains hundreds of titles in almost every subject area. These pocket-sized books are the perfect way to get ahead in a new subject quickly. Our expert author combines facts, analysis, perspective, new ideas, and enthusiasm to make interesting and challenging topics highly readable. Oh, okay. Now, this is the title of this book. Lived Religion in the Ancient Mediterranean World. Approaching religious transformations from archaeology, history, and classics. The Lived Ancient Religion project has radically changed perspectives on ancient religions and their supposedly personal or public character. This volume applies and further develops these methodological tools, new perspectives, and new questions. The religious transformations of the Roman imperial period appear in new light and more nuances by comparative confrontation in the integration of many disciplines. The contributions are written by specialists from a variety of disciplinary contexts: Jewish studies, theology, classics, early Christian studies, dealing with the history of religion of the Mediterranean, West Asia, and European area, from the late Hellenistic period to the early Middle Ages and shaped by their intensive exchange from the point of view of their respective fields of research. The contributors engage with discourses on agency, embodiment, appropriation, and experience. They present innovative research in four fields also of theoretical debate, which are experiencing the religious, switching the code, thing called body, and commemorating the moment. The myth of matriarchal prehistory. Fascinating. Ella carefully clips every thread from which this matriarchal myth is woven. Natalie Anger, the New York Times Best Review. According to the myth of matriarchal prehistory, men and women lived together peacefully before recorded history. Society was centered around women with their mysterious, life-giving powers, and they were honored as incarnations and priestesses of the great goddess. Then a transformation occurred and men thereafter dominated society. Given the universality of patriarchy in recorded history, this vision is understandably appealing for men and women. But does it have any basis in fact? And as a myth, does it work for the good of women? Cynthia Eller traces the emergence of the feminist matriarchal myth, explicates its functions, and examines the evidence for and against a matriarchal prehistory. Finally, she explained why this vision of peaceful, women-centered prehistory is something feminists should be wary of. Passionately argued, engagingly written, this vital book is certain to inspire wide and much needed debate. Publishers Weekly Star Review, an engaging critique of a popular but perhaps self-defeating belief. All right, let me see here. Okay. Evolutionary process in the natural history of religion, body-brain belief. The study of religion by the humanities and social sciences have become receptive for an evolutionary perspective. Some propose a model evolution of religion in Darwinian terms or construct a synergy between biological and non-Darwinian process. The results, however, have not yet become truly interdisciplinary. The biological theory of evolution in form of the extended evolutionary synthesis is only sparsely represented in theories published so far by scholars of religion. Therefore, this book reverses the line of view and asks how their results assort with evolutionary biology. How can the subject area, religion, integrate into behavior biology? How is theory building affected by the asymmetry between the scarce empirical knowledge of prehistoric religion and the body of knowledge about extant in historic religions? How does hominin evolution in general relate to the evolution of religion? Are there evolutionary pre-adaptations, subsequent versions of evolutionary biology from the original Darwinism to EES are used in interdisciplinary constructs? Can they be integrated into a comprehensive theory? The biological concept most often used in coevolution in form of a gene culture, coevolution. However, the term denotes a process different from biological coevolution. Important EES concepts do not appear in present models of religious evolution. Neutral evolution, evolutionary drift, evolutionary constraints, etc. How to include them into an interdisciplinary approach. Does the cognitive science of religion harmonize with behavioral biology in the brain sciences? Religion as part of human culture is supported by a complex multi-level behavioral system. How can it be modeled scientifically? This book addresses graduate students and researchers concerned about the scientific study of religion and biologists interested in interdisciplinary theory building in the field. All right. Okay. So that's another book there. And what's this? What we have here: death rituals, social order, and the archaeology of immortality in the ancient world. Let me see what there was social order and archaeology in the ancient world. Okay. Okay. Okay, this is what it said. So, death rituals, social order, and the archaeology of immortality in the ancient world. Death shall have no dominion. Modern archaeology has amassed considerable evidence for the disposal of the dead through burial, cemeteries, and other monuments. Drawing on this body of evidence, this book offers fresh insight into how early human societies conceived of death and the afterlife. The 27 essays in this volume consider the rituals and responses to death in prehistoric society across the world, from Eastern Asia through Europe to the Americas, and from the very earliest times before developed religious beliefs offered scriptural answers to these questions. Compiled and written by leading prehistorians, and archaeologists. This volume traces the emergence of death as a concept in early times, as well as a contributing factor to the formation of communities and social hierarchies, and sometimes the creation of divinities. Oh, the Oxford Handbook of the Archaeology of Ritual and Religion. Okay. The Oxford Handbook of the Archaeology of Ritual and Religion provides a comprehensive overview by period and region of the relevant archaeological material in relation to theory, methodology, definition, and practice. Although, as the title indicates, the focus is upon archaeological investigation of ritual and religion. By necessity, ideas and evidence from other disciplines are also included, among them anthropology, ethnography, religious studies, and history. The handbook covers a global span: Africa, Asia, Australia. Oh, no, yeah, Australasia, Europe, and the Americas, and reaches from the earliest prehistory in the lower and middle Paleolithic to modern times. In addition, chapters focus upon relevant themes ranging from landscape to death, from taboo to water, from gender to rites of passage, from ritual to fasting and feasting. Written by over 60 specialists renowned in their respective fields, the handbook presents the very best in current scholarship and will serve both as a comprehensive introduction to its subject and as a stimulus to further research. Now, what's this book here? The Pagan Religions of the Ancient British Isles, Their Nature and Legacy. Now, this is the first survey of religious beliefs in the British Isles, from the Old Stone Age to the common Christianity, one of the least familiar periods in Britain's history. Ronald Hutton draws upon a wealth of new data, much of it archaeological, that has transformed interpretation over the past decade, giving more or less equal weight to all periods from the Neolithic to the Middle Ages. He examines a fascinating range of evidence for Celtic and Romano-British paganism, from burial sites cairns, megaliths, and causeways to carvings, figurines, jewelry, weapons, votive objects, literary texts, and folklore. All right. Religions of the Ancient World, a guide. Now it says here religious beliefs and practices which permeate all aspects of life in antiquity, traveled well worn routes throughout the Mediterranean, itinerant, charismatic practitioners journeying from place to place, peddled their skills as healers, purifiers, cursors, and initiators, and vessels decorated with illustration of myths traveled with them, new gods encountered in foreign lands by merchants and conquerors were sometimes taken home to be adapted and adopted. A full understanding of this complex spiritual world unfolds in religions of the ancient world. The first basic reference work that collects and organizes available information information to offer an expansive comparative perspective. And once sweeping in scope and groundbreaking in format, the guide eschews the usual encyclopedic approach, instead presenting side by side material from 10 cultures and traditions. Thus, specific beliefs, cults, gods, and ritual practices that arose and developed in Mediterranean religions of Egypt, Anatolia, and the Near East, Mesopotamia, Iran, Greece, and the Roman world from the 3rd millennium to the 4th century CE are interpreted in comparison with one another and with reference to aspects that crisscross cultural boundaries such as cosmology, myth, law, and ethics, and magic. Written by leading scholars of ancient religion, the essays in this guide sketch the various religious histories, raise central theoretical issues, and examine individual topics such as sacred times and spaces, prayers, hymns, incantations, and curses, sin, pollution, impurity, death, the afterlife, and other last themes, divination and prophecy, deities and demons, and sacred texts, and canonicity. Clearly and stylishly written, grandly illustrated, this comprehensive work welcomes readers as never before into the diversity and interconnections of religion in the ancient world. All right. Oh, this would be a good book. The Handbook of Religions in Ancient Europe. The Handbook of Religions in Ancient Europe surveys the major religious currents of Europe before Christianity. The first continental religion with hegemonic ambition wiped out most local religions. The evidence, whether archaeological or written, is notoriously difficult to interpret, and the variety of religions documented by the sources and the range of languages used are bewildering. The handbook brings together leading authorities on pre-Christian religions, on pre-Christian religious history, to provide a state of the art survey. The first section of the book covers the prehistoric period from the Paleolithic to the Bronze Age. The second section covers the period since writing systems began, ranging across the Mediterranean and northern Celtic and Slavic Europe. The essays assess the archaeological and textual evidence, disperse archaeological remains, and bias outside sources constitute our main sources of information. So the complex task of interpreting these traces is explained for each case. The handbook also aims to highlight the plurality of religion in ancient Europe, the many ways in which it is expressed, notably in discourse, action, organization, and material culture, how it is produced and maintained by different people with different interests, how communities always connect with or disassociate from adjunct communities, and how their beliefs and rituals are shaped by these relationships. The handbook will be invaluable to anyone interested in ancient history, and also to scholars and students of religion, anthropology, archaeology, and classical studies. Let me see. All right, what's this book here? All right, this book here, The Living Goddesses. The Living Goddesses crowns a lifetime of innovative, influential work by one of the 20th century most remarkable scholars. Marija Gimbutas wrote and taught with rare clarity in her originally shocking interpretation of prehistoric European civilization. Gimbutas flew in the face of contemporary archaeology, when she reconstructed goddess-centered cultures that predated historic patriarchal cultures by many thousands of years. This volume, which was close to completion at the time of her death, contains a distillation of her studies, combined with new discoveries, insights, and analysis. Then there's an editor, Miriam Robbins Dexter, has added introductory and concluding remarks, summaries, and annotations. The first part of the book is an accessible, beautifully illustrated summation of all Gimbutas' earlier work on old European religion, together with her ideas on the roles of males and females in ancient matrilineal cultures. The second part of the book brings her knowledge to bear on what we know of the goddesses today, those who in many places and in many forms live on. The ancient religion of the sun, the wisdom bringers, and the lost civilization of the sun. Now, the ancient religion of the sun has been one of the most powerful influences on human history. It was practiced by a lost civilization tens of thousands of years ago, which influenced the major civilizations of the ancient world that venerated the sun. It gave rise to many of the world's most famous ancient sites and some of its most revered wisdom traditions. This book is for anyone wishing to learn about the history of the ancient religion of the sun. It traces its origin by exploring some of the most ancient sacred texts and indigenous histories on Earth. It examines its reestablishment following the global flood at the end of the last ice age, as well as its founders, many of whom are remembered as the greatest spiritual figures and teachers in history. It also explores the lost civilization that helped initiate, from which the major civilizations of the ancient world arose, and our own civilizations grew. Throughout much of the ancient world, the sun was used as the supreme symbol of divinity. Megaliths and temples were aligned to the sun, and sun gods who traveled the oceans were seen as the founders of religions and civilizations. In this book, ancient accounts from across the world are brought together to tell the story of our sacred past, not as a mythology, but based on real people and real events. It explains why common symbols, megaliths, religions, and mythologies can be found in so many disparate parts of the world, and why the sun was revered as the most prolific sacred symbol in history. All right, let's see here. What's this one? Now, in this book, Astronomy in the Origins of Religion. Now, the official title, due to prehistoric interactions between astronomy and religion, form a distinct religious tradition. In the dissertation for his Master of Arts degree from the University of Central Lancashire, Comerton introduced and thoroughly explored his theory of the existence of the oldest religious tradition based on astronomical observation, which he titled the astronic tradition, or astronomism. In this work, which received a distinction grade following examination, Comerton discovers that astronomy and religion were indeed intertwined in prehistoric and ancient times. Through archaeological evidence, Comerton makes the case for the existence of an astronic religious tradition stretching back to the Upper Paleolithic period of the Stone Age, some 40,000 years ago. Key ideas of Comerton's dissertation work include astromorphism, astrolatry, astroglyphs, astromancy, astronomical religion, and a theory of an astronomical unreligion, an original or primordial religion. Now, the title of this book, A Companion to the Archaeology of Religion in the Ancient World. A Companion to the Archaeology of Religion in the Ancient World presents a comprehensive overview of a wide range of topics relating to the practices, expressions, and interactions of religion in antiquity, primarily in the Greco-Roman world. Features readings that focus on religious experience and expression in the ancient world rather than solely on religious belief. Places a strong emphasis on domestic and individual religious practice. Represents the first time that the concept of lived religion is applied to the ancient history of religion and archaeology of religion. Includes cutting-edge data taken from top contemporary researchers and theorists in the field. Examines a large variety of themes and religious traditions across a wide geographical area and chronological span, written to appeal equally to archaeologists and historians of religion. All right, what's this book? All right, this book here. History of Religious Ideas. Now, All right. Let me see here. Now, let me click back over here. The history of religious ideas. I knew I had seen the author of this book by Mircea Eliade. Everyone cares about the human nature. Blah, 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 blah. All right. This extraordinary work delves into the subject of religion in the prehistoric and ancient worlds, humankind's earliest quest for meaning, from Neanderthal burials to the mythology of the Iron Age to the religions of Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Israel, India, and beyond. It offers both an appreciation of the wide-ranging diversity of religious expression and a consideration of the fundamental unity of religious phenomena. Will arouse the interest of all historians of Western religion, since it includes chapters on the religions of Canaan and Israel. However, the book must be read cover to cover if one wants to grasp the significance of its gigantic historical scope. Now, what I was saying about the author, I remember seeing that name before, the author. And when I look back, that's what I was doing. I was looking at all these books that this man had wrote. That's the reason why I became familiar. Okay. No, what I was saying, I had to remind myself. Then I remember now. I remember. So I see. That's what I was trying to find this place, and then I started remembering when I was going back with talking about the Jews, and then the book, the author I was remembering. I said, okay, that's what it was. Okay. So when I was talking about the author, this reason why when I seen it, I was like, the author name looked familiar, and I kept trying to remember why I seen it, but that's what it was. So Mercia Eliot. Now, what's this book right here? What time is it? Oh, okay. All right, what's this book right here? What is religion? Starting from the premise that religion is a human endeavor that can be analyzed and compared across time and culture. What is religion? Brings the most up-to-date scholarship to bear on humankind's most enduring creation. Religious belief is one of the most pervasive and ubiquitous characteristics of human society. Religion has influenced human lives since prehistoric times, shaping the world views of cultures from isolated tribes to vast empires. The book opens with a brief history of the idea of religion, then divides the study of religion into four essential topics: types, representations, practices, and institutions, and concludes with a final eye-opening chapter on religion today, packed with case studies from a wide range of religions, past and present. What is religion? Offers a very current, comprehensive, yet intellectually challenging overview of the history, theories, practices, and study of religion. Thoroughly updated throughout, this second edition provides an accessible, wide-ranging, engaging, and concise book for undergraduate students in the study of religion. It is also invaluable for students of anthropology, history, psychology, sociology, and theology, as well as anyone interested in how and why humans became and continue to be religious. What's this book? Religion in the emergence of civilization. Mm-hmm. Now, what's this book here? Human Sacrifice: Archaeological Perspectives from around the world. Sacrifice is not simply an expression of religious beliefs. Its highly symbolic nature lends itself to various kinds of manipulation by those carrying it out, who may use the ritual in maintaining and negotiating power, in identity, and carefully staged performances. The element would examine some of the many different types of sacrifice and ritual killing of human beings through history, from Bronze Age China and the Near East to Mesoamerica to Northern Europe. The focus is on the archaeology of human sacrifice, but where available, textual and iconographic sources provide valuable complements to the interpretation of the material. All right, what's this? Was this book here? A Prehistory of Hinduism. This book is a pioneering attempt to understand the prehistory of Hinduism in South Asia, exploring religious processes in the Deccan region between the 11th and 19th century, with class relations as its point of focus. Throw new light on the making of religious community, monastic institutions, legends, lineages, and the ethics that govern them. In the light of this prehistory, a compelling framework is suggested for a revision of existing perspectives on the making of Hinduism in the 19th and 20th century. All right. All right, what's this? Jerusalem, one city, three faiths. Venerated for millennia by three faiths, torn by irreconcilable conflict, conquered, rebuilt, and mourned for again and again. Jerusalem is a sacred city whose very sacredness has engendered terrible tragedy. In this fascinating volume, Karen Armstrong, author of the highly praised A History of God, traces the history of how Jews, Christians, and Muslims have all laid claim to Jerusalem as their holy place, and how three radically different concepts of holiness have shaped and scarred the city for thousands of years. Armstrong unfolds a complex story of spiritual upheaval and political transformation from King David's capital to an administrative outpost of the Roman Empire. From the cosmopolitan city sanctified by Christ to the spiritual center conquered and glorified by Muslims. From the gleaming prize of European crusaders to the bullet-ridden symbol of the present-day Arab-Israeli conflict, written with grace and clarity. The product of years of meticulous research, Jerusalem combines the pageant of history with the profundity of searching spiritual analysis. What's this? Religion in the ancient Mediterranean world. This course of 48 lectures is an introduction to the religious cultures of the ancient Mediterranean world, from the earliest indications of human religious practices during the prehistoric era to the conversion of the Roman Empire to Christianity in the 4th century of the Common Era. The course examines what we can recover of the religious activities of prehistoric human beings before considering in depth the religious cultures of the great ancient civilizations of Egypt, Mesopotamia, Syria, Palestine, Greece, and the Roman Empire. The emphasis throughout the course is not only on the rituals and mythology of the civilization's official religious culture, but also on the beliefs, practices, and yearnings of the common person. The prehistory of the mind. Here is an exhilarating intellectual performance in the tradition of Roger Penrose's The Emperor's New Mind and Stephen Pinker's The Language Instinct on the way to showing how the world of our ancient ancestors shaped our modern world modular mind. Stephen, what? Oh, okay. Stephen Mitton shares one provocative insight after another as he answers a series of fascinating questions. Were our brains hardwired in the Pleistocene era by the needs of hunter-gatherers? When did religious beliefs first emerge? Why were the first paintings made by humankind so technically accomplished and expressive? What can the sexual habits of chimpanzees tell us about the prehistory of the modern world, of the modern mind? This is the first archaeological account to support the new modular concept of the mind. The concept promulgated by cognitive and evolutionary psychologists views the mind as a collection of specialized intelligences or cognitive domains, somewhat like a Swiss Army knife with its specialized blades and tools, arguing that only archaeology can answer many of the key questions raised by the new concept. Mitton delineates a three-phase sequence for the mind's evolution over 6 million years, from early Homo in Africa to the Ice Age Neanderthals to our modern modular minds. The prehistory of the mind is an intriguing and challenging explanation of what it means to be human, a bold new theory about the origins and nature of the mind. Now, violence and the sacred in the ancient Near East. Girardian conversations at Ketahoyuk. This volume brings together two groups engaged with understanding the relationship between religion and violence. The first group consists of scholars of the mimetic theory of Rene Girard, for whom human violence is rooted in the rivalry that stems from imitation. To manage this violence of all against all, humans often turn to violence against one, the scapegoat, thereafter incorporated into ritual. The second group consists of archaeologists working at the Neolithic sites of Ketahoyuk and Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. At both sites, there is evidence of religious practices that center on wild animals, often large and dangerous in form. Is it possible that these wild animals were ritually killed in the ways suggested by Girardian theories? Were violence and the sacred intimately entwined? And were these the processes that made possible and even simulated the origins of farming in the ancient Near East? In this volume, Ian Harder and a team of contributors seek to answer these questions by linking theory and data and exciting new ways. Now, religious speciation, how religions evolve. This book presents a consecutive study of the evolution of religions. It starts with an analysis of evolution in biology and ends with the discussion of what a proper theory of religious evolution should look like. Discusses such questions as whether it is humankind or religion that evolves, how religions evolve, and what adaptation of religions means. Topics examined include inheritance and heredity, religio speculation, hybridization, ontogenetics, and epigenetics, phylogenetics, and systematics, calling attention to unsolved problems and relating the evolutionary subject matter to appropriate material. The book integrates and interprets existing data based on the belief that an unequivocal stand is more likely to produce constructive criticism than evasion of an issue. The book chooses that interpretation of a controversial matter which seems most consistent with the emerging picture of the evolutionary process. Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. The evolutionary biologist and co-founder of the so-called new synthesis in evolutionary biology, Theodosius Dobzhansky, wrote in his famous essay of 1973 opposing creationism in American society today. Dobzhansky's statement is not only fully accepted in biology but has become the scientific paradigm in disciplines such as psychology, archaeology, and the study of religions. Yet in spite of this growing interest in evolutionary processes in religion and culture, the term evolution and the capability of an evolutionary account have to date still not been properly understood by scholars in the humanities. This book closes the gap. Now, Las Chamonix de la Prehistoria. This startling book reveals a new way of understanding the remarkable images painted or etched on rock walls by the people of prehistory. Noting the similarity of prehistoric rock art with that created by some contemporary traditional societies, archaeologists Dean Close and David Lewis Williams suggest that the ancient images were created by shamans, powerful individuals who were able to contact the spirit world through trance and ritual. In many societies throughout history, shamans have been consulted to try to change the weather, foretell the future, control the movements of animals, and converse with the dead. With an abundance of full-color illustrations, Close and Lewis Williams draw on neuropsychology and ethnography to follow prehistoric shamans into their trance states. The authors shed light on what these rock artists were thinking and how they may have worked on these pages. Paleolithic art and life are seen in a new and astonishing way. Then you got a book here, Sacred Britannia, The Gods and Rituals of Roman Britain. A compelling new account of religion in Roman Britain, weaving together the latest archaeological research and a new analysis of ancient literature to illuminate parallels between past and present. 2,000 years ago, the Romans sought to absorb into their empire what they regarded as a remote, almost mythical island on the very edge of the known world, Britain. The expeditions of Julius Caesar in the Claudian invasion of 43 CE up to the traditional end of Roman Britain in the 5th century CE brought fundamental and lasting changes to the island. Not least among these was a pantheon of new classical deities and religious systems, along with a clutch of exotic Eastern cults, including Christianity, or what homegrown deity cults and cosmology did the Romans encountered in Britain, and how did the British react to the change? Under Roman rule, the old gods and their adherents were challenged, adopted, adapted, absorbed, and reconfigured. And blah, 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 blah. All right. And so, what's her name? Miranda Aldhouse Green balances literary, archaeological, and iconographic evidence and scrutinizes the shortcomings of each to illuminate the complexity of religion and belief in Roman Britain. She examines the two-way traffic of cultural exchange and the interplay between imported and indigenous factions to reveal how this period of on the cusp between prehistory and history knew many of the same tensions, ideologies, and issues of identity still relevant today. Now we got the what's this book here? The Oxford Handbook of Ancient Iran. Iran's heritage is as varied as it is complex in the archaeological, philological, and linguistic scholarship of the region has not been the focus of a synoptic study for many decades. Thus, the Oxford Handbook of Ancient Iran fills a long-standing gap in the literature of the ancient Near East, providing up-to-date, authoritative essays by leading specialists based both inside and outside of Iran on a wide range of topics, extending from the earliest Paleolithic settlements in the Pleistocene era to the Islamic conquest in the 7th century AD. The volume is divided into sections covering prehistory, the Chalcolithic, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Achaemenid period, the Seleucid, and Arsacid periods, and the Sasanian period, concluding with the Arab conquest of Iran. In addition, more specialized chapters are included that treat numismatics, Elamenian, Arsacid, Persic, and Sasanian religion, the Avesta, and Zoroastrianism, languages, Pro-Elamite, Akkadian, Old Persian, Greek, Aramaic, Parthian, and Middle Persian, political ideology, calendrics, textiles, administrative seals and sealing, Sasanian silver and reliefs, and political relations with Rome, in Byzantium. No other single volume covers much of Iran's archaeology and history with the same degree of authority. The work will be of vast interest to a wide range of students and scholars, from archaeologists and art historians to philologists, classicists, ancient historians, religious historians, and numismatists. All right. What is this? Ancient mystery cults. The foremost historian of Greek religion provides the first comprehensive comparative study of a little known aspect of ancient religious beliefs and practices. Secret mystery cults flourished within the large culture of the public religion of Greece and Rome for roughly 1,000 years. This book is neither a history nor a survey, but a comparative phenomenology concentrating on 5 major cults in defining the mysteries and describing their rituals, membership, organization, and dissemination. Walter Burkert displays the remarkable erudition we have come to expect of him. He also shows great sensitivity and sympathy in interpreting the experience and motivations of the devotees. All right, what's this book here? All right. Oh, okay. I remember that one. Now, this is another, I had already read the title for this, so this is the same book. The Civilization of the Goddess, The World of Old Europe. And that's by Marija Jambutas. What time is it? Okay. No. The Oxford Handbook of the Archaeology of Death and Burial. The archaeology of death and burial provides a privileged source of insight into the lives of people in the past. This kind of archaeological feature commonly includes the material remains of the dead, containing biological information of age, sex, pathology, DNA profiles, and isotopic signals of diet and migration. The analysis of burials also provides archaeological information about how the dead were treated as part of the mortuary ritual, which gives the archaeologist insight into ritual practice, belief, and emotional responses to death, and also speaks more generally about social relationships among the living, including identity, gender, and social rank. This volume offers as introduction to all these dimensions of the archaeology of death and burial. Contributions range from historical overviews of several different significant traditions relating to burials in the history of the discipline of archaeology. Other chapters examine recent methodologies to retrieve and analyze biological information and contemporary theoretical approaches to the study of central issues in our discipline, such as the body, identity, gender, emotion, religion, and ritual. The volume has an international profile with contributions from leading scholars around the world, providing case studies from a range of different cultural contexts. The volume also recognizes the central place of ethical considerations in the excavation, analysis, and exhibition of human remains and ritual artifacts, and provide different perspectives on the ethical implications for any archaeologist working with this kind of material. That's a very important book. I need to have that book in my library. All right, then we got a couple books here. All right, we got this book, The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross. All right, this book here, Where Did God Come From? What do the Bible stories really tell us? Who or what was Jesus Christ? This book challenges everything we think we know about the nature of religion, the ancient fertility cult at the heart of Christianity, the living power of cultic rites and symbols, the sacred mushroom as the emblem and embodiment of divinity, the sacred meaning of biblical myths, the language of religion that links us to our ancestors. The sacred mushroom and the cross sets out John Allegro's quest through a family tree of languages to find the truth about where Christianity came from. All right. All right, this book here is about, what's it, the Sacred Isle. All right, this book here is more like about ancient monuments, legends, and folklore interpreted to illuminate the realities of prehistoric Irish belief. All right, then what's this book here? Women in Japanese Religions. All right, comprehensive history of women in Japanese religious traditions. Mm-hmm. All right. A comprehensive history of women in Japanese religious traditions. Scholars have widely acknowledged the persistent ambivalence with which the Japanese religious traditions treat women. Much existing scholarship depicts Japan's religious tradition as mere means of oppression. But this view raises a question: how have ambivalent and even misogynistic religious discourses on gender still come to inspire devotion and emulation among women? In Women in Japanese Religion, Barbara R. Ambrose examines the role that women have played in the religions of Japan, an important corrective to more common male-centered narratives of Japanese religious history. This text presents a synthetic long view of Japanese religions from a distinct angle that has typically been discounted in standard survey accounts of Japanese religions. All right. And there's another book by the same author who wrote this other book, Civilization of the Goddess. There's another book, The Language of the Goddess, Marija Jambutas. All right, there's another, let me see. The Cambridge Illustrated History of Prehistoric Art. I need to have that book too. The Archaeology of Ritual and Magic. The Archaeology of Ritual and Magic. All right. Like all human activity, ritual customs intended to gain advantage or avert disaster by supernatural means left their mark on the archaeological record. Yet archaeologists are often reluctant to recognize evidence of behavior that has no obvious material purpose. Even where they realize that something unusual has occurred, they will put forward every other possible explanation in terms of accident or functional utility. However improbable, for the first time, Ralph Merrifield systematically looks at the evidence for European ritual from prehistoric times to the present day and examining different kinds of ritual, superstition, and magic, whether animal sacrifice, offerings to earth and water, spells and charms, or antidotes to witchcraft. He shows how common patterns of activity have continued with little alteration over the century through fundamental changes of religious belief, from primitive animism to developed paganism, from paganism to Christianity, from traditional Catholicism to Protestantism, and even from religious faith to scientific rationalism. The same kinds of simple ritual have survived to give comfort and a sense of security. Profusely illustrated, this provocative and readable study will not only be required reading for archaeologists at all levels, but will also appeal to all those interested in folklore and the oddities of human behavior. The ancient mind, elements of cognitive archaeology. One of the most troubling problems in archaeology is to determine the manner and content of prehistoric thought. A fundamental challenge is to develop the theory, methodology, and tools to understand human cognition. Cognitive archaeology as a subject is still in its infancy, and archaeologists are adopting a variety of approaches. One direction has been to develop an interpretationist, anti-scientific, literary approach. Another has been to use a linguistic framework and develop a hermeneutic, semiotic approach. A third approach develops a new direction in prehistoric cognitive research, which is rooted in the scientific tradition and in an empirical methodology. It draws upon the cognitive, the mathematical, and the computer sciences in an attempt to understand what techniques can be used appropriately on archaeological data and how to implement them efficiently. This is the approach adopted by the contributors to the ancient mind. Together, they began to develop a science of cognitive archaeology. World religions from ancient history to the present. Lavishly illustrated with hundreds of images, this magnificent volume examines over 20 world faiths, from the living religions to those of Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, and Rome, as well as traditional African, early Australasian, and Andean beliefs. You need to have that book. The Hunters of Prehistory. An archaeologist describes how prehistoric man lived by examining the remains of ancient human settlements. Need to have that book. From the Stone Age to Christianity. A monumental work of theological, historical synthesis. From the Stone Age to Christianity sets forth Albright's view of the light thrown by archaeology on the Bible, as well as his basic philosophy of interpretation of the Bible and religion. Here he traces the development of humankind's idea of God from prehistoric times to the times of Christ. I need to have these books. Now, what's this book here? The Cradle of Humanity. The Cradle of Humanity, Prehistoric Art and Culture, collects essays and lectures by George Battalion, spanning 30 years of research in anthropology, comparative religion, aesthetics, and philosophy. These were neither idle nor idyllic years. The discovery of Lascaux in 1940 coincided with the bloodiest war in history, with new machines of death, Auschwitz and Hiroshima. Vattel's reflections on the possible origins of humanity coincide with the intensified threat of its possible extinction. From Vattel, prehistory is universal history. It is the history of a human community before its fall into separation into nations and races. The art of prehistory offers the earliest traces of nascent yet fully human consciousness, of consciousness not yet fully separated from natural flora and fauna, or from the energetic forces of the universe, a play of identities. The art of prehistory is the art of a consciousness struggling against itself, of a human spirit struggling against brute animal physicality. Prehistory is the cradle of humanity, the birth of tragedy. Vattel reaches beyond disciplinary specializations to imagine a moment when thought was universal. Vattel's work provides a model for interdisciplinary inquiry in our own day, a universal imagination and thought for our own potential community. The cradle of humanity speaks to philosophers and historians of thought, to anthropologists interested in the history of their discipline and in new methodologies, to theologians and religious comparatists interested in the origins and nature of man's encounter with the sacred, and to art historians and aestheticians grappling with the place of prehistory in the canons of art. Mm. And what's it right now? Prehistoric religion, a study in prehistoric archaeology. Amazon.com. You can buy it used, $17.61. What's it? Hardcover, $37.03. Paperback. Oh, that's $17.61. Let me click back over. All right, we got some more books here. All right, on Amazon, like Religion and Human Evolution. All right, here. What's this? Prehistoric Ritual and Religion. Essays in honor of Aubrey Burrow. Okay. A History of Religions. Prehistoric to Contemporary. Amazon.com, $19.99. Ritual, Rites, and Religion and Prehistory. All right. Barnes and Noble, $92. What's this? Prehistoric Belief, Shamans, Trance, and the Afterlife. $30.27, abooks.com. Prehistoric Precedents, How the Human Species Invented the Bible. Barnes and Noble, $29. What's this? Prehistoric Religious Study in Prehistoric Archaeology, E.O. James. What's that? Amazon.com. And what's this right here? Prehistoric Religious Study in Prehistoric Archaeology. What's it? Yeah, this is Amazon.com. The gods of prehistoric man. What's it right here? What's it? Shamans of the lost world. A cognitive approach to the prehistoric religion of the Ohio Hopewell. Mm-hmm. And what's this right here? Shamans, sorcerers, and saints. Amazon.com. Ancient traditions. Shamanism in Central Asia and the Americas. Then you got shamanism, an introduction to shamanism. Shamanism. Archaic techniques of ecstasy. The world of shamanism, new views of an ancient tradition. Yeah, the medicine man. A sociological study of the character and evolution of shamanism. Paleolithic artifacts and features of the Americas. Prehistoric religion, mythology, symbolism. Primitive and Prehistoric Religions. Amazon.com. Alright, what's this book here? The Dawn of Belief. Now, the Dawn of Belief, religion in the Upper Paleolithic of southwestern Europe. All right. Deep ancestors practicing the religion of the Proto-Indo-Europeans. What's this book here? Religions of Africa. Traditions in Transformation. And what's this book here? Religions of Africa. It's a lot of them. Then what's this? Religions of Africa. African and African American religions. Religion in Africa. African traditions in the study of religion in Africa. All right. African traditional religions. Amazon.com. African primal religions. All right, we're gonna continue this though, because you know this ain't gonna this gonna be from now until you know. But I need their books. Alright, get ready to end the day video. Of course, I gotta give me something to eat. But I need these books on prehistoric religion. So, hey, got connections and everything, the Divine Nine and everything, But like I said, I need these books from on prehistoric religion. I need these books. Hey, it gotta be justice, man. It gotta be justice. Some gonna try to make me respect some that, what I'm saying, talking about some fake polytheists, false polytheism. They're trying to make me respect it. They're trying to make me respect it. No. I ain't respecting no fake polytheists and no false polytheism. No respect. Because you basically just get to the point. You're lying. And then they try to use violence. They try to use violence. They try to be violent. No. Then of course when they instigate something, what I'm saying? And upon their instigation, what you got to do is either one or two things. You either submit or what? Resist. Hey, it ain't no submitting. So you already know it's gonna resist. And when I resist, I'm gonna persist. But you not. Because when I persist, I'm gonna continue to exist. But that's gonna be your end. See? No, you ain't finna instigate nothing to me like that. No. No, not with no fake polytheism. False polytheism. No. You can go on with that. You can go on. You can go on with that. You don't get nowhere. The only thing you're gonna do is get yourself in some serious trouble. You're gonna end up getting your ass killed. You're gonna get your ass killed. Straight to the point. What time is it? Alright, I tell you what I'm gonna do. But and I ain't forgot my idea either. Like I said, like I've been saying all the time, first you gotta give a person a chance to be informed. But about these books. See, it's important that I get these books. I got to have these books in my library. Prehistoric religion. See, ain't no need you worrying about no Gnostic. Ain't no need you worrying about no Hellenized Jew. Ain't no need you worrying about no pagan. Because when we talking about this prehistoric religion, the people in academia, they sit here tell you the archaeology, the anthropology, the behavior science, because there's behavior science department. So, hey, PhD, and then you got all these other people in like Department of Theology and Religious Studies, the PhDs. See, they sitting here telling you, man, we doing all this studying, and then they talking about cognitive archaeology and the evolution of archaeology, and so you can kill that null and void all that nonsense you talking. Because first of all, that's what they saying about some of them people. That they was going by what somebody told them from the past, apparently about the past. That's what they was trying to tell you. It's just like Alexander the Great, for example. What was he going by? Who he was listening to? Then he goes around and conquer the world. Then you got like the people like the Persians. Who they listen to? Apparently they claim they were doing the same thing. Talking about some ancient religion and making all these absurd claims. Then they do what? They go around and try to conquer other Indo-European people that's nearby them. Or a little bit nearby, They get into all these wars, making all these weapons. See, that's what it means about the hunter and the gatherers. Man had to use his brain to survive. Not just from the animals, hell, the climate. And then you talking about hunting and gathering. What that supposed to mean? Ask yourself this question. When you talking about your stomach hungry, and you talking about ancient people, primitive people, what did it mean to be hungry? Was there anything that said you might be hungry, but this is what you don't do? Don't eat this, don't eat that. Eat this and eat that when you hungry. What about when you're thirsty? All this hunting and gathering, the environment, did you sweat? Did you need to take a bath? See, you make it sound like people didn't do nothing but just walk around hungry all 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Did you sleep? Where the hell are you going to sleep? If it's all these creatures that's going around that could make you a meal because they hungry. You got to survive the elements. Cold, heat, rain, snow. And what about, we talk about natural disasters. We're gonna touch on this natural disaster a little bit. Then we're gonna come back on my next bit. We're gonna go a little more deeper. Because we want to see how prehistoric man had to deal with natural disasters. And being hungry and having to clothe itself. The do's and don'ts. Based on what you believe, what prehistoric man did he have some kind of belief? And what about, we read something a little bit about goddess and about women. Was there anything like look, you don't rape the women? Was it an age limit? Like, hey, like a man, woman, boy, girl. We talking about religion now. We talking about prehistoric religion. So we about a man and a woman. Then next thing you know, who is this little thing? Who is this little thing crying? What they supposed and get hungry and hungry. What do a man and a woman do then? What you got to do? A man got to go. He got to provide for his family. Then what the woman got to do? See, we're going to touch on a few things right now, but then we're going to come back on this. We're going to get a little more into this natural disaster. We're going to get into the little baby crying and being hungry. And then when the little baby be crying, what do the man and the woman do? Do he just walk away and just leave the woman with the child? Hell, do the woman, like her own, worried about herself. Did a man ever ask himself, like, man, can I do what she do? But see, when the man and the woman recognize there's something different, the man look at the woman look at the man and be like, there's something different about you and something different about me. See, we're going to touch on this. We're going to just touch on it then we're going to come back on my next video and we're going to get a little more in depth. See, it's important that we deal with prehistoric religion because we know that this is what we already know. We know in the 50s and the 60s, and then we know the history. We as Black/African American been denied education. We've been all this emphasis on gangster, mobster, on this gang and mob, which is a lie. All it is damn pagan trying to impose, I ain't gonna even say it's a culture, just trying to impose violence. Criminal organizations trying to exploit people on this planet through violence. Because this is really why it's a good thing to deal with primitive religion. And then with this European. You be trying to make these claims, you know what I'm saying? You try to take in and everything. You ain't nothing but a damn criminal. But you try to use information as a weapon. This is what I'm criminal organization. You try to use information about the culture and the customs of ancient Indo-European people against Indo-European people. You know, play with your mind. Just like when we were talking about African traditional religion. And then here I am. Then I'm sitting over here in a bookstore somewhere, or just out, trying to manipulate people. I ain't a bit more no concerned about no African if it's something that can, benefit me. That's what that is. Exploitation. And then violence. Being violent with men, being violent with women, being violent with children. Hell, just like we've been talking about this damn ignorant ass Gnostic. Going around trying to, first of all, being self-destructive, talking about this demiurge is a clumsy god. And so your dumb ass sits up here and be self-destructive. Then you sit up here and try to be destructive with any and everybody else. You go around trying to mistreat the canines and the felines, which is our dogs and cats, our pets. You try to destroy wildlife, nature, and the environment. Talking about this damn demiurge is a clumsy god. Now you're going out there in space. You need to get your dumb ass somewhere and sit down somewhere. That's the reason why we talking about primitive religion right now. Because you ain't talking about nothing. All you doing is lying and trying to be violent. You don't even see no theologians today. They found some damn piece of paper in the ground, these codexes, the Askew Codex, the Berlin Codex, the Bruce Codex, and the Nagamon Library. Do you see some theologian writing that damn mess now? No. You don't see nobody writing nothing. You sitting up here still talking about them damn codexes that they found in the ground. Your ignorant ass. The church fathers told you it was the Hellenized Jew. They told you it was Jew. What Jew? The Hellenized Jew. Who was the Hellenized Jew? The damn pagans. Who was the pagans? The Indo-European. That's who it is. Now what they doing today? They talking about contemporary pagan, modern pagan, neo-pagan. What else they talking about? Reconstruction. Yeah, them the same damn, it was them damn same stupid people, this new age mess. And see, that all that Wicca and all that, that's where it came from. See, all that is fake polytheism, false polytheism. Then try to be violent. And what they trying to broadcast anal sex. You ought to see this mess, man. You ought to open your brain, your eyes, and see they are intentionally broadcasting anal sex. They sitting up here doing it. And that's the reason why they doing it. They trying to make it sound like they right. And you not. You ain't never been right. You ain't gonna never be right. You ain't gonna never be nothing but a damn fool. That's it. Talking about the gang and the mob. See, that reason why right now in Chicago. See, I'm gonna keep. You see, they were wrong. That reason why I talk about prehistoric religion. God damn it! Now you see, it was wrong. They was wrong, and you is wrong. Talking about some gangster disciple. And what was that other dumb shit? The black gangster new breed. Your ass was wrong and you is wrong. And out there in California, I was intending on my video last week. But goddamn it, out there in California, them the same damn bitches that were down here. They were down here in the South. Just like they were talking about going up to Chicago. Them the same bitches that were going out to California. Talking about some damn Crip gang, baby cribs and all that. Where they come from? Down here. You was wrong and you is wrong. You was wrong, you is wrong. Talking about some Crip gang, blood gang. Goddamn, you was wrong, you is wrong. Some ignorant buffoons. Gonna talk about prehistoric religion from this day forward. You ain't gonna never be right. That's what I'm mad about. Goddamn, you ain't never been right. And you ain't gonna never be right. Continue to pray about these natural disasters. Continue to pray about these wars that's being fought all over the earth. Thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Son of God, for all the blessings the God provides us all with. And I'm gonna end today's video. And like I said, I'm gonna come back next year on my next week, on my next video next week. And we're gonna get back on this prehistoric religion. Man, I need these books in my library. I need these prehistoric books on prehistoric religion in my library. Goddamn, the Divine Nine, they supposed to stand for service in the community. Somebody, you know what I'm saying? Somebody gonna answer. I need these books in my library. Supposed to stand for service. That what Divine Nine was designed, was brought into existence for. Ain't nobody brought no existence just to do no stepping. Supposed to stand for the community. I need these books in my library on prehistoric religion. Amazon.com. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson. Again, my name is Eric D. Johnson. I don't know BrightShine. I live right here in the city of Memphis, in the county of the state of Tennessee. Thank all my family support for your continued encouragement support. Until next time, take care of yourself. Wish each and every one of you the very best.